Yeah, yeah, nice to know you. Do 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 do. Sorry, y'all probably hearing the clicks. That's okay though. That's what we're here for. Not that. I kind of want to also install OpenBSD. There we go. String. Wow, half a gig of RAM. But realistically, usable systems require at least 2 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of space. Larger disks are stronger than method. Interesting. It's nice to know you. Do 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 do. Nice to know you. Yeah, we're gonna check that out after we read some more Moneros. Wow, notify me finally on time. Though I will say, I vibe coded a, a secure note app, and I mean heavy heavy quotes on the secure part. So this is just something to. This is nothing I would ever use. I'll use it because it's actually things that I want. The thing I hate about note apps is, first off, I don't want to use the terminal. I don't want to use, I guess, someone else's app or code or pay for features that I just don't see the reality of doing it. So I think a good, like a kind of cool practice of quote unquote vibe coding, again, heavy quotes, is especially if you do everything locally as much as possible, maybe some help outside in the realms of like free tiers or whatever. It's kind of cool because you can take this and make it yourself. You don't have to publish it. You don't have to fucking charge money for it or anything. But it had features that I kind of wanted, and I wanted to trust I wanted to do it myself. So I have a WebDAV sync setup. Sync your encrypted notes with WebDAV server like Nextcloud, OwnCloud, or any other. I haven't tested this out yet, but I got the test connection to work. Sync failed. That's good. It has a show password option and then save credentials encrypted option. I was supposed to put a kind of like I kind of like the layout, the theme of it, and then I did backup to device. You have to have a minimum password, so this is going to generate it, and then it exports the notes. I have also done made sure that was implemented properly. There is a biometric login enabled. It doesn't work yet. It's kind of clunky. I'm going to eventually do some updates to fix that. possibly support FIDO2. That'd be kind of sick now that it's coming to my brain. Like if you have a security key, you put the security key in, it unlocks it. Maybe a lock method, like if this locks, enforce a password to unlock the app, kind of like a secondary form of authentication. That would be kind of interesting. It has an audit logs. It tells you pretty much everything you've done. The dates are correct, the times are correct, finally, clear logs. And then this is an extra step. This should appear over it, but it doesn't. I might have to fix that, make it a little bit more user-friendly. The layout doesn't really bother me. It's just this part is not fully going up. Maybe I need to make some adjustments. This is really meant for mobile and probably what I'll use. Again, wouldn't recommend. And then it has a self-destruct, so no one makes any mistakes. It has a self-destruct option. So it does a little animation. Self-destruction sequence activated, wiping all encryption. So never say you make a new password. It does have it does have spell check built into it. I don't really know how good it is. It's not good. I'm gonna have to fix the spell check. I was running into a issue with it, with the spell check causing a dependency. Not a dependency. It was breaking the code essentially, but definitely just know how to spell it. If you're gonna like do this yourself, make sure you pick some good options out there. I have an all saves changes option, a word counter, which is cool, a share option that's kind of broken still, which is whatever. It's not a huge deal, but it's supposed to make a one-time shareable link that people can view, and then it's destroyed and it's all encrypted as well. It uses the web encryption API for the encryption, and then it makes sure that it's not stored locally on your devices, but the encryption is done via your hardware, like via locally. It's not like up in the cloud or anything. And then it tells you like you can look at modified newest, oldest, new note. I don't know how much how big the app is, because I've made it as a progressive web app. I think progressive web apps are kind of more efficient in terms of privacy. And then if you're using a secure browser like like Graphene OS's or Brave or whatever, you do have an option. Now, say you just want to delete the note. You're like, I'm not going to use it. Like, then you delete the note. But if you want a complete self-destruct option, you just click yes. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that this was made from thought, and like I was like, man, I don't know how to code. How am I going to think of this, etc., etc. And then it wipes out. I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. And then obviously it allowed me to install it, and then I can open it directly in Brave. It's just kind of a cool project that I was thinking about. I tell people that like you should always. It's always cool to test stuff as much as possible, even if you're not a developer. And I actually learned quite a lot just doing this. I mean, I spent probably like 4 or 5 hours like one day just fixing errors and seeing like what was the error causing. Like I didn't just type prompts and then like move on and not learn anything out of it. Like I learned how like it does the encryption, which is kind of cool. I looked through the code too to kind of like, I'm not really a JavaScript fan, or obviously I'm not a JavaScript developer, but I looked through the code as it was like being created, and I was like, oh, what does this do? Oh, what does this do? And then there was, I was trying to do like a cloud sync like option that was open source, based on like decentralized storage, like a Storj or something. But it didn't really work out. It was kind of giving me a lot of errors, so I kind of removed it. But I was like asking like, what is this error? Explain this error. What does this code do? What is this? And then I would go like search forums and like kind of like figure it out myself. Especially the encryption side is kind of cool. I didn't think that it was going to be possible to like do it, and then obviously again I would not use this. I would not put this on like GitHub or anything for somebody to use, because that would be insane. Especially if somebody wanted to use this, I would a massive disclaimer that you shouldn't trust anything that it's doing, because while it uses very vetted and qualified, like known encryption, it could be implemented wrongly, like, incorrectly. There could be bug stuff. And then it's code editing it, like auditing itself. So like you essentially could, it could be like making a ton of mistakes that you just don't know about. But I might add some other features that like I would want, like again, like a way to pin the app like with a password to close it, and when it's locked, that no one else can be able to like open it up just willy nilly. There are separate applications that allow you to do this. There we go. Okay. Let's see if it... Interesting. Okay, so we back. Look. Dun, dun, dun. Zero Monero. Size versus weight, long-term block weight, the Monero blockchain, cult of a medium weight, blocked reward penalty, dynamic fees. Okay, I think that's where... Do, 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 do. All right. Man, I gotta stop. Whew. I gotta stop doom scrolling on the internet while I'm supposed to be reading. All right. Dynamic mining minimum fee. Fees are kind of like shit. No one likes them, but they're like a fraction. If you look at the if you look at the cost to let's do that. I mean, if you just look at this in perspective, we're gonna do some OpenBSD stuff in a minute. Don't worry. What is the MasterCard fee? MasterCard internet fees from 1.15% to 3.15% of the transaction value, depending on factors such as card type, transaction environment, card present or not present, and the merchant's category code MCC. For in-person transactions, the average rate is 1.93% plus 8 cents, while online or mainly enter key transactions is 2.32%, goddamn, plus 25 cents. The specific rates are significant by merchant category. For example, high-value airline transactions charge a 2.25% and 10 cents, while convenience purchase can range from 1.65 to 4 cents to 3. So, additional merchant charge MasterCard fees impose various network and service fees. The MasterCard network fee is 0.0025 per transaction, and the MasterCard fraud prevention fee, what the fuck, didn't even know this, is 0.0025 cent per transaction. The MasterCard digital enablement fee is 0.2% of the transaction volume with a minimum of 2 cents and maximum of 20 cents per transaction. Any transaction processing excellence fee, TPE fee, was introduced in July 2025, set at 0.25% with a 0.4 cent minimum, and the planned increase to a 5 cent minimum in January 2026 and 10 cent minimum in January 20. What the hell? MasterCard has implemented several recent charges, including 0.05% increase to the international consumer rate, 3 transactions effective October. A proposal of $200 billion settlement between Visa and MasterCard pending a court. Okay. Average fee card charged by MasterCard and Visa since we're talking about fees here. I hate this fucking site. Record 2024, the credit card companies earned about $148 billion from merchant swipe fees, costing families about $1,200 annually. Fees, so let's say families paid an average of $1,200 in swipe fees in 2024, according to merchants' payment collection. Fees increased at a faster rate than the actual money spent on purchase, adding the total. Okay, so like, even if, say, merchants pay $1,200 a year, I mean, if you divide that by 12 months, that's $100 they pay in fees. Pay in card machine at least these are like guesstimates, and like merchants in the UK, I don't give a fuck about the UK merchants. USA. Merchants in the US pay more than with fees ranging from for example, a business processing $40,000 per month in credit card sales at an average rate of 2.0 would pay $12,000 per year in fees. So let's say that's crazy. $12,000 a year in fees when you could just accept cash. But you're turning away. I mean, just I don't know. So, what is the we're gonna read about it, but on the Monero blockchain. The average transaction fee on the Monero blockchain is dramatically determined based on transaction size and the network condition. With the current minimum fee of per kilobyte, which is approximately 2 cents of USD, this fee is structured designed to be fair and equitable, treating all transactions equal regardless of size or value. This fee can be increased prioritizing transaction, but it must be at least 0.05 kilobyte. Conclusion: historically, the transaction fee around 12 cents, but this can vary depending on transaction size and network congestion. As of recent data, median transaction fee is about Bitcoin's median fees of $5.10. Fuck you, Bitcoin. The dynamic block side algorithm and fee system allows Monero to adjust fees based on network load, with the fees decreasing as block size increases. which helps maintain low transaction costs even with growing network usage. Okay, so even if it's 2 cents. So it doesn't matter how much you do. So like you have to do it based on like the amount of transactions. Say out of that 40,000 a month, you do 1,000 transactions. Same amount, same dollar amount. Say you convert it to your fiat, you know, whatever. If you want to be gay. Say it's 1,000 times 0.02 cents, $20. So it's going to cost you $20 times that by 12. $240. You lost $240 if you do 1,000 transactions and you maintain your $40,000 a year. Think about it. Fucking crazy. And then if you use monero to commit federal tax evasion, that would be crazy. I mean, it just makes sense. Can I update it? But will it restart? That should be just like standard. It shouldn't have to restart the... Oh no, okay, so it's still going even though I changed the name based. Never mind. Did it start it over? I don't know. Did I make an oopsies? It says live. No, it still says 33 minutes ago. We're good. That's alright. So apparently, the desktop mode in Graphene OS might not be available in the early release. They may have to explicitly enable it and set something up for it. That'd be awesome. That'd be ball. Desktop mode just sucks right now on Graphene OS, and it sucks because I see people could 100% not. They could abandon their laptop if they want to. If they have like a shit laptop and they just don't want to. Hmm. I'll look at that later. Back to fees. So Monero fees. So this is something to keep in mind. Is like when you're saying Monero, you're going to be paying fees. That's fine. The Monero blockchain, each block is additional weight. Okay. Block reward penalty. To mine blocks bigger than the community median, miners have to pay a price or a penalty in the form of a reduced blocked reward. This means there are functionally 2 zones within the maximum. What up, code? You need to test out my my new secure notes app, written in pure TypeScript. It's a progressive web app and it uses end-to-end encryption. There we go. The fee algorithm. Dynamic minimum fee. To prevent malicious actors from flooding the blockchain with transactions that could be used to pollute ring signatures and generally bloat, our least favorite word, it unnecessarily, Monero has a minimum fee per byte of transaction data. Originally, this was 0.01 XMR KBI added early during the protocol version 1, and then it became 0.002 XMR per kilobyte in September of 2016, version 3. In January 17, version 4, a dynamic fee per kilobyte algorithm 45, 46, 47 was added, and then along with the transaction weight reduction due to bulletproofs, it changed from per kilobyte to per byte. The most important feature of the algorithm is that it prevents minimum possible total fees. Awesome. Did you really write it yourself? Very cool. I did not write it myself. I vibe coded it. I vibe coded every aspect of it locally on some aspect and in some public cloud aspect, but I read through it and learned honestly a lot. I think this is where vibe coding can kind of, as a memes aside, what about learning C? They'll be next. I'm going to pull back up my C banking app that I'm reading. We're just reading over some Monero stuff right now. But I think vibe coding actually, I would never tell anyone to do that and then become like a developer and do production or anything, because there could be a slew of vulnerabilities in there. And what I did every step of the way with the app that I was building, I was looking through the code, even though I really can't read it. That's not a good example, but I would take it and then I would upload it to like other like things are like, hey, is there any vulnerabilities you see in this? And like other AI generated code is like, hey, does this look sus? What looks wrong? I keep asking, like, scan for vulnerabilities. Obviously, a real developer, it would be better if a real developer would go through this and obviously audit it, or like people that can read this code and like do actual vulnerability scanning 100%. But I think it's simplistic enough that that the AI prompt could like kind of figure out like, hey, this doesn't look secure. Maybe there's some issues. Again, I would never use this in a real life like threatening type of scenario where data is like critically should be encrypted and secure. But I will use this note app going forward because I think it's cool because it has features that I want from applications that I don't really want to pay for, and it's all local. I mean, it runs in the browser locally, so I'm not worried about any privacy concerns because I coded it, and especially a lot of it locally. There's a lot of good like local coding. Like if it's between, oh my god, I gotta set up this web server versus having AI do it, or doing like very small parts of coding, or like really simple not as insecure options where you could just like where you don't have to keep repeating yourself, and you become a more efficient dev, and you go through the code and you audit yourself, and and then I think that it does have its place. It would make you. I think it's there to make you a better coder, really, at the end of the day, because it did teach me a lot, and it broke it down stuff in a very simplistic way where I'm not running through 15 pages. Very interesting, man. More power to you. Thanks, I appreciate it. But I still think it's cool to learn C. Like C is a very. There is something else that I'm trying to vibe code. But it is very interesting. I still think that you should learn, like, people should learn C. C's cool. It's a very cool programming language. I think it teaches you a lot too. Even like I said, vibe coding. I was like, which is very gay. I was like, I think it's more of like a learning tool. Like you could really learn a lot. It's vibe to time. True. C is my main language. Yeah, it's like it's cool. It's good to learn. I think it teaches you a lot about how computers work, especially like how like memory is managed. I'm eventually gonna understand C to like a high degree, hopefully. I take a ton of Udemy courses for studying programming. Yeah, no, it's definitely good. Like, it's good to like listen to other people and figure it out. I just think AI's biggest flex that it can. I don't think it's good for making art. I don't think it should be used to take like actual jobs. I think it should be used as a tool in order to become more efficient at your job, or just in general. Like, why would I go learn JavaScript? In my personal opinion, why would I go learn JavaScript just to go make a secure node app when a ton already exist? A ton of secure node apps already exist. I think it'd be cool to learn, and maybe I'll write one in C. Like maybe like I did write one in Bash once, which was kind of cool. Bash was interesting, but in a practicality of like, would I ever bring this to like an interview and be like, guys, look what I made. Now please hire me. I like the way the Restream bot puts out the chats in general and Glowy went live. Yeah, that's kind of weird and interesting. I like changed the title and I think it like fucked up the stream. And I would even say, if you know C++, like definitely go through like the Monero's like blockchain and like how it works. It's kind of interesting because it's written mainly in C++, and I think some C. But after C, guys, we're learning V, the truly based programming language, the better version. V stands for vagina. That's why they called it V. Or Vussy for the culturally inclined. Discord bot in C++. No, it's actually, that's what I should. I should make a Discord bot every time that Billy Bo Jenkins talks about Gen 2, and it dings the server. Like it'll like post a picture of like Richard Stallman or something. But remember, Richard Stallman doesn't know how to install Linux. That'd be actually a sick thing. Will it save? Hmm. Richard has someone install Transquil for him. Yeah, I don't even know what distro Richard Stallman uses. Feat generator in C++. Windows is burning up my computer lately. Yeah, you should probably get rid of that. It's probably burning up your computer because its wind blows. Yeah, what? Richard uses Trisquel by excluding proprietary components. He used Trisquel around 20. It is one of the few distributions that meets its strict criteria of ethical computing. His computer is a refurbished ThinkPad X200 running Trisquel GNU Linux with Libre boot and a free BIOS replacement, ensuring that even the firmware software is free. Stallman's emphasized that his choice of operating system is driven by his commitment to software freedom and avoids distributions that include proprietary software firmware. Back when I used Windows, my old CPU had a fever. Not so good time. True. Unfortunate. How I do my computing. As of 2022, I use my ThinkPad X200 computer, which has a free initialization program called Libre Boot and was installed but now called GNU Boot. A free operating system, Trisquel. It was not sold that way by Lenovo. However, a small business buys them used, reconditions them, and then installs the free software. This is one of the computers endorsed by the FSS. I used other ThinkPad models that similarly spec readers in the early 2010s. Yeah, I have someone. Yeah, I have to have Windows for several reasons. Even compiling update on Gen 2 gets the CPU under Windows idle temps. True. Nice. The Talos 2 main motherboard. Weighted certifications. Guys, I should have done this. It looks like it has 2 CPU processors. Imagine carrying this around. Respect your freedom. I think this is the one that Sam Bent told me about. Even 6 years ago. That's crazy. Oh yeah, wrapped. God, they're just so fucking expensive. OpenBMC, the industry first Talos to ship a fully open and audible BMC firmware based on the OpenBMC project. Gone the days when you could carefully isolate the buggy, insecure BMC ports. $10,000, man. I can't. It's cool though. AI development system. Look, if I had like $8,000 to throw away, but 4 cores is complete ass. OpenBMC. I'd rather use OpenBSD. Actually, we should do that. Now that I think about it, we should install OpenBased. I run Parrot Home Edition natively on my hobby laptop. Extremely good OS for programming in the Home Edition. Those prices are insane, though. Apparently, so Sam brought it up to me. These are completely open source down to the microkernel, like the microcode. There's no Intel management system. There's no AMD. It's non-existent. There is no proprietary code anywhere. So they have a cost for a reason. I mean, I'm not justifying it. Apparently, it is 16 gigs of DDR4 ECC registered memory. Gay. 500 gig Samsung internal MV storage. Recovery DVD. 90 watt TDP hardware virtualization extension. Power ion. I mean, there's even fucking proprietary fucking, what do you call it? Like HDMI proprietary. This proprietary. Like, you know, certain cabling that's fucking proprietary, which is retarded, but whatever. An owner-controlled CPU base to secure boot mode, also available at any time when secure boot is properly configured, and if the main motherboard is isolated physically, secure environments, a data center, you can be assured that only your pre-approved and pre-audited firmware, kernel, and user space components are executing on Talos systems to systems. So essentially, everything. I want to play Minesweeper. Do you think this could play Minesweeper? It uses something called Blackbird. So the last update was 18 months ago. I mean, we're going to install BSD, baby. So open installing Libre Mines from Flatpak. Is that a real thing? Is that real? Open SSH. Which one is... Where's the open BSD? Which one do I get? Do I get 7.8? Announcement, read, ARM, alpha. Okay. OpenBSD, the installer, uses a special Ramdix kernel BSD that responds to live environment running entirely in memory. It contains the install script. CD drive, USB, existing partition, over the network, floppy disk. If you have a running OpenBSD system and a BSRD, all you need is to reinstall operating the version, download. Booting from BSD on an AMD 64 system can be done like so. Oh, okay, here's it. Disk image that can be running. Okay, interesting. Oh no, I want the ISO. I want the ISO. Libre Mines. Is this? I needed to see if this is real. Libre Mines is a free and open source software Qt-based Minesweeper clone available for GNU. That's awesome. Via Flatpak violates the. I don't know if does approve. Yeah, I test a lot of ISOs. I mean, I will test any Linux distro for just I installed Hannah Montana Linux on a person I know's laptop just so they would use it. They're like, this is awesome. Based, actually. Honestly, not as good as GNOME Mines or Arcadia Mines. I even used Hannah Montana OS. I was like, this is based. This is cool. Okay. What was I doing again? Open based, guys. Do. Open India hipster. Did you try Omarchi? I'm about to do in a couple of minutes. No, Omarchi looks like a federal honeypot, and it's bloated. Too many people are recommending it, so I immediately think it's glowed. What do I pick then? Do I just pick generic Linux? Void Linux based. Oh no, not GNU Geeks. What is it? Install 78 ISO. Not 77, guys. I made it. Oopsies. My brother, what? Oh. What a bitch moment. I be looking dumb. Where is this package at? Do. Wow, Apple launched Digital ID in the US, letting users add IDs like the passport to Apple Wallet and use them at TSA checkpoint and 215 airports in domestic travel. Fuck no! Why would you want your fucking... Why would you want your fucking phone provider, your phone, to fucking do this? I thought much was exactly what I needed. Turns out not so much. Here's what I ran into. The installer wipes your whole disk. You can't set up your own partitions or keep other OS. Gay! If you wanted to boot You have to use the terminal and do it all yourself. Installer logs are hard to find and unreadable. If you want to debug installation problems, secure boot has to be off just to install it. If you're switching between Amarchi and Windows, you'll be going through BIOS every time. The installer in the ISO doesn't like some USB drives. Tried multi-boot and it failed. The Wi-Fi setup is just weird. The enter key doesn't work when selecting a network. If you use tabs and space, Wi-Fi sometimes breaks after you sleep, and you have to fix it through the terminal. Updates, I've tried giving it a chance, but it's too much of a mess. It's not good for daily use and daily. Dude, that's what I'm saying. People that are like touting like Omarchi are just internet cucks. I am on Void Linux. There's literally called a website called, I think it's called cucks.some. It's just not good. I don't care that the guy developed Ruby on Rails. That actually makes him worse in my eyes because because Facebook used Ruby on Rails, brother. I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me that people are fucking flipping out that this exists. End over us already exists. Literally fucking works. Just works. Garuda Linux exists. I had one issue with it. Quite literally, the biggest fucking waste of time is all these people like hopping on. They're like, "Oh my god, guys, a new Linux distro like made by a popular person. It's gay, and it looks glowy to me." And I never thought that it was a good idea. Do you know how many times I go on distro hop and I'm like, that just doesn't look good? I mean, distro watch. I'm like, oh, that looks good. Like, it took me a long time. Ew, Debian. It took me a long time to get to. First off, like, here's a perfect example. I don't know why Linux Mint was like #1 for the longest time. I still don't get it. Linux Mint looks like dog shit to me. People are like, but it's like Windows, and I'm like, Windows sucks. I hate Windows. Why would I want to relive that? And this is just my opinion. I don't think that like my opinion. Ew, I don't think my opinion outweighs anything else. I just think people jumping on the bandwagon of some random retard that decide to make something that's the best way to use Kick Secure Debian for studying as a VM lab. Use CubesOS. Kick Secure's biggest drawbacks is I mean, at that point, actually, don't even use Kick Secure. Use Unix. Unix is better. It's 2 virtual machines. But, I mean, CubesOS is just far superior. You are technically making your system less secure by having Windows. I mean, this is stated in their documentation, but I just think Debian sucks. I'm a Debian hater, though, so I'm the wrong person to ask. And I have Parrot on my laptop right now, which I'm going to be doing open-based. Oh, okay. I mean, there's security. Security is like a scale. The biggest problem with Linux security is that it's really not secure. In all honesty, because people bring up like server specific distros, and they're like, but what about OpenBSD? OpenBSD's entire focus is on the server infrastructure. Server infrastructure is always going to be more secure because it's less attack surface just by default, and you have people that are setting up that work in generally the realm of security. that want to secure their network. So when they are setting this up, they're putting this in the back of their head. They're like, oh, this is realistically the most secure way I can set this up without sacrificing convenience. So security is a cat and mouse game. Do I just put generic Linux? Okay. I'm in. What's going on? Welcome to Always BTC based. Install, auto install, or should I just do auto install? The fuck? I'm just trying to learn offensive programming from an online course in a security disposable environment. Your best option is they make this. It's called anyrun.com. You want disposable? You want actual disposable and it's free? And it's vulnerable? It's an interactive malware sandbox. This is about as secure as you can get. It's all ran from your browser. And you can make Windows machines. They have a free option. This is a great. I've used it a few times. They have a free tier. If you want to pay for it, it's like $10 a month or something. I don't know. And it's all sandboxed, so like you don't gotta worry about accidentally your malware escaping. Now there are some caveats. Malware can be self-aware to the point where it knows it's in a virtual machine. Bro, stream on Hive Talk. Google is trying to ID me. I don't know what Hive Talk is. What about ParaOS hack the box browser VM? That's fine. I don't think those are bad options. Hive Talk is... Oh, Nostr. I've never used it. I will look into that. Actually, I didn't know they had a live option, to be completely honest. My biggest gripe with Nostr, I like Nostr, but my biggest gripe is the fact that they're a bunch of fucking Bitcoin. They're kind of like faggy with Bitcoin, to be honest. No offense to the homosexuals, but they're like really gay for Bitcoin over there, and that's me talking like about it as a Monero stand. But I think Monero has. I like Monero for its functionality, not its price. Its price is nice. I mean, price is cool, but there's some real fucking cucks over there for Bitcoin, and like the worst. They're like the worst people too. They just care about the. They're a bunch of jeets. They only care about their fucking their price. But I'll check that out. I don't like that YouTube. I don't like YouTube. I mean, here's the problem. I don't like that YouTube is a shitty platform for privacy, but it has the biggest audience. If I go into Nostr, if I go into Rumble, if I go into Odyssey, I get a fraction of the views, and those people already hate YouTube, and I've already moved on to more private solutions. So I'm kind of like bleeding. I'm kind of like screaming into an echo chamber, and in me screaming into an echo chamber, did you get your default followers from Primal? No, I didn't. Primal doesn't work for me, actually. I don't know why. I mean, I found Nostr through somebody, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. I didn't. Primal just doesn't really work. I tried, but my problem is when I go on to places like that, I'm already talking to a self-aware, anti-monopoly, and more privacy-centric audience. So I'm kind of speaking to the choir. I'm on YouTube and Twitch and Kick because I want right here is what Libre Minds looks like. Is because these are people that aren't really self-aware about privacy alternatives and decentralization. Fully complete, complete normal dividend board. Oh, okay. Oh, you dropped that in Discord. I'll check it out, Billy. My default followers come like I kind of like hopped around Nostr's different applications because I think that it matters to kind of like figure out which one I like the most. But it's like I haven't really found one that I like so much. I actually like a Mist the most, and then there's another weird one. It's called something Home. Yeah, somehow someone has to bridge the gap. Damn, this is not working. And I think it's cool that people. I do the same on Snapchat. Yeah. Like, I think it's cool. I tell people about Nostr. And I definitely embrace it. Boxes never fucking work for me. But my main gripe with it is that I'm preaching to the choir. And again, I found Monster .land. It is based on it's Monero. It's a Monero community. The biggest con of Libre Minds over the other Minesweepers clones is that they click on the number tile reveals all the tiles around it, no matter how many flags are around it. Oh, interesting. It's probably like a bug. We can see the Twitch bots from YouTube. Oh, you can? I think I crossed it so that everyone can see. There's an option now that the chats can kind of see each other. I believe. I'm not entirely sure. It's just a damn, man, why the fuck is it keep freezing? The last couple of days, both for Manager and Gnome boxes acting. No, I think it's because I'm on Void. I don't know. It has never worked for me on Void. Completely honest. I thought there was an open BSD option on here. Boo, Debian. Circle. Let me try it this way. Can boxes download the ISOs for each OS available? Yeah. It's not the best. Control. You don't get the most control. OpenBSD 7.6 though. Like when I run it, it just kind of crashes. Oh wait, nice. OPM usually fucking GNOME boxes fucking crashes at this point. Mostly boxes ISO downloads return error. No, it's working. Holy shit. No, like so for me, it just closes the window. No matter what I do, no matter what oh, it seems like it's weird. Maybe do I got a corrupt? Let me actually check this out. Let me do this. Maybe I got a corrupt file. I don't know why it's not. I've never gotten this far. We're gonna do geeks. We're gonna give it a lot of RAM, baby. Installation. The problem is when I did it this way, bro, I literally mean I never got this fucking shit to work. And it took a bitch and a half to get this fucking to work. Okay, maybe English, United States, graphical install use terminal, America, the Cayman Islands, English. I'm really tired. See ya later, Billy. English, US, nose name, big balls. This is interesting. I haven't gotten boxes to work in so long. I was like, fuck this shit. Because I like boxes sometimes. It's just fast, efficient, and easy to install stuff. By turning this option on, we're going to enable it. It's not a huge deal. See, this is actually the problem with Linux. One of the, not the only problem, but one of the core problems. Big. We're just gonna do this balls. Gonna try Void on a VM now on a VM. Void is great because you get a lot of control over your software. I mean, there is some shit that just doesn't work. So you have to really like for a while I couldn't install certain packages because they were in the non-free option. If that makes sense, like they were considered non-free packages, and because they were considered non-free, I had to get a whole separate mirror. And that whole separate mirror kind of gave me a lot of headaches. So, Void NixOS, I fucking hate NixOS. It's retarded. I've just never seen the point in it. Maybe it's just a me thing. I tried it too. So the biggest problem with Void Linux is they're really adamant on the free side. They're like, they don't like the init system, system D. They're kind of like use Musel, OpenRC mentality. So if you're used to system D, or you have stuff that maybe rely on like I had to relearn how to do stuff, a lot of stuff. Like, it's not like, like System Cal, where you link certain services to start at runtime. You got to link them in a different way. I really don't like NixOS either. I'm just a NixOS hater. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater in general. I tried it. I don't see the hype. Maybe it's kind of like Arch Linux. I can see why people don't like. See, the difference is I can see why people don't like Arch Linux. I get it. It's annoying to install. Doing manual installations aren't fun. Some people might have fun with them. I sometimes have fun with them, where I manually configure everything and I spend some time, but I do not care about like these very specific esoteric Linux distros where they have a very specific esoteric edge to them. And NixOS is like, well, everything. It's like it says it loses dependency hell, but I've read to other people that it creates its own type of hell, which is configuration files hell. So it's kind of just a perspective. NixOS's strongest contender point is that it's portable, that you can use it anywhere. You can take your config files everywhere. I don't really configure my system to the point where I need a whole fucking type of package manager as my OS or whatever to make it portable everywhere. I don't know. It's just maybe just me. It might be a me thing. I like distro hopping, so I don't keep anything super sensitive on my main machine where I distro hop the most. On my main PC, my operating system and my important files are separate. I've never installed everything. I use it with a shared server. Me and my brother use Git to manage the merges and the to the config. Yeah, there's probably a use for it. And me and my brother use Git to manage the. I'm sure there is a use to it, and I haven't figured it out. I thought when I first used Ansible to set up all my servers, I was like, I'm never going to use this again. And then I ended up liking Ansible, and I used it a lot because it made setting up my servers very easy. It made updating all my servers easy. I'm not I can't write playbooks like off the top of my dome, and I don't really like the way YAML is configured, and I get why people like different forms of writing. Certain like the way they write their files, because it can be, if it's portable and it's very easy to set up and use, then I completely understand. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. You don't want to have to set up it a specific way. So I completely understand. I see the appeal to NixOS. I just don't care for it, and I've tried it. And people will explain it to me, and I'm like, dude, it's life-changing. What do you mean? How would you like all your config files, but everywhere? Salt is really big in CubesOS. I had to really read and think about what Salt is, but it's really just to manage your config files and make essentially how do I explain, CubesOS really CubesOS has something called Salt. It's for management software. It's the Salt Stack. It's management engine in DOM0 by default. It enables administrators to declaratively configure systems through state files written in YAML. Essentially, I have to reread it because I'm like, what the fuck's the point of this? Redux is cool. I would love Redux because it's Rust based. To get more popularity, if Redux solves some of the security issues in Linux and Redux is kind of like its own system. It's its own thing. It's like Haiku. Haiku is kind of it's independent. As long as it still as long as it still lives by the free and open source philosophy that I hold dear to me, I'm cool with jumping. Like, I don't have to use the GNU/Linux ecosystem. I think Linux has a great place. I think it has a great mentality. I think Linux has inspired a lot of people to make even better stuff. I just think the problem with Linux is the kernel is getting really big. There is a lot of why are so many people split on Rust? Because Rust is hyperbolic in the media space. Which I was about to actually get to the point is the problem with Linux. Heard people say it's proprietary. They did some so GPL code. GPL licensing is technically, in the eyes of a lot of free software stands, they think it is proprietary. Trademark is proprietary. Anything that violates copyleft is proprietary. I mean, these come down to esoteric arguments. Canonical has proprietary blobs in it. You cannot argue that. I mean, really. Canonical, Ubuntu has proprietary software in it. This is why it's not approved under the GNU license. FreeBSD and BSD are not GNU approved because of licensing and nothing else. So think about that one. Just put that into the back of your head. And understand that Linux is a philosophy-based ideology, operating system. It's if somebody took philosophy and put it inside a computer. So you have a lot of people split on certain software. Rust and the development team has made some poor public facing issues, and I kind of agree that they have made some annoyances to their GPL3 licensing that pretty much doesn't allow for people to use their trademark. They pretty much trademarked their name and like their logo and everything, and people had a problem with that. I mean, when Bitwarden made an oopsie on an update to like their Git repository, people were like flipping out. They're like, "This isn't open source anymore. Fuck Bitwarden, burn 'em to the ground." Even though I think Bitwarden has done objectively more good for software and open source than bad. I don't use Bitwarden anymore. I just use KeyPass because it's self-hosted. And I have zero problems with Bitwarden because I think they really care about the security of their application. They want people to have access to secure password managers. I don't think that they are necessarily as evil as people make them out to be. There are far worse password managers that care way less about people in the open source community and security. I actually, on a fundamental level, I have zero problem with software where it matters to be proprietary. If you need it to protect your financial integrity, if you want to be a business and you want to make money, there are a lot of bad actors out there that can take advantage of your free and open source code, and this could make it quite difficult to actually operate as a business. I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm not saying that's all the time. This is something that, people argue on. I generally have a free and open source philosophy that's like, I like to use software that's free as possible in terms of no walled garden and less proprietary, not free as in cost. And I think open source is the best option, but some people will take advantage of that and be malicious with it, and it can cause some problems. And some companies want to make, they want to be profitable. So they might make certain parts proprietary, so it's harder for them to, I mean, you can self-host Bitwarden. They've never been disallowed it. And VaultWarden exists, and it still hasn't gone away. So I don't know why people trip about it. But there's just a lot of split ideology on how stuff is done. I think the MIT license is better than GPL. That's just my opinion. I listened to somebody talk about it, and they're like, well, GPL allows me to run my business. Anyone can fork it. Anyone can make money. But guess what they can't do? They cannot match the way we handle customers and the way we handle problems and issues in service. he kind of makes a point. It's the guy from Star 9 Labs, and I kind of listened to him on his ideology with this, and I agree with it because if it makes sense after I explain this. I can go into any restaurant, sit down, have a burger, eat that burger, and it can taste the same. I can make this burger by eating it. I could figure out what they have in it, what ingredients they used, how they seared it. I could mimic this burger. Anyone can mimic a burger. Anyone can mimic software. But you can't mimic experience. You cannot mimic how you felt. You can't mimic how you made someone feel. You can't mimic how you made someone feel. You can't mimic customer service. You can't mimic why somebody wants to stick with you. I do the barber comparison. You go and pay for a haircut from the same person, even though you could probably get it cheaper down the road. You go to the same convenience store, even though you could probably go cheaper down the road. Sometimes the cost isn't the thing that's driving you to the person. It's how the person makes you feel. It's how your barber makes you feel. It's how they take care of you. It's how the liquor store down the street from you makes you feel. It's just like software. It's like warranties. Like I had a problem with something once, with something that I bought, and they took care of it so fast and efficient. I don't care that it fucking broke. Does it make sense? Because if it makes sense, awesome. If it doesn't, then I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes the experience is so good that you're willing to kind of be like, you know what? I could get it cheaper, but they took so good care of me. I'm willing to look past all this. I've heard this same iteration in the gun market. Keltac and High Point have a really bad reputation. They kind of have a reputation. What the fuck? I thought I already installed this bitch. Oh. Maybe I have to wait. I've heard people say that they had a bad experience with like their gun, and High Point's like, you know what? I don't care that you threw this through the window and it bounced off a tree and shot itself. We're gonna fucking fix it. I hear their customer service is above and beyond. Same thing with Keltec. Same thing with some people say Amex credit cards customer service will fucking fly out their CEO and give you a hand job. Sometimes you are paying for just the fact that they are so good at their job and they care about their customer and they see the return. That's essentially what it comes down to. I think that's how software can come down to. If I have a problem with the software and I point out a bug and it's fixed, or I've talked to developers before of major apps, not like as anything but a user, and I'm like, hey, there's something really wrong with this. Can you help me fix it? Completely free, no thought, no question, in a form, and they're like, yeah, this is how you fix it. And I'm like, oh wow, great. And then I move on. I move on. But that's like how I kind of view it. We're gonna just let that install, I guess. Apparently, Geeks doesn't fucking want to work. So that is the main gripe with. It's been a minute since I played Magic. That is the main gripe with the Linux software, is because everything's free and everyone gets it for free. What about the lack of low-level control in Rust relative C? Isn't that what Linus says? Probably. There's probably some. So a lot of people are like Rust stands because it's blazingly fast, but I'm not a developer, so it's hard for me to have much of an opinion. Daisy merch sold. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yo, oh man, I gotta play this. No cap. Oh, based. Sorry, guys. Everything that I said I was going to do with programming has just died for a minute. My favorite anime waifu has entered the chat. I think the biggest issue is C solves some things that are natively problematic in Rust solves some things that are natively problematic in C, and it's memory corruption, it's memory vulnerabilities. That's it, and maybe it has some speed implements. You got to remember how big the kernel is. The Linux kernel is huge. So people are bound to make mistakes. Programmers should learn how to write safe code, and they should learn how to be efficient in their code writing. I agree. But humans make mistakes. When you have deadlines, when you have production deadlines, when you have money to make, I mean, you got to remember Linux is free, so like they're probably relying on grants, and they're probably relying on other ways to make money. They're like, hey, we're going to make this specific kernel for you, or whatever. I honestly don't know how Linus Torvalds makes fucking money. Probably through commercial like deals and stuff like that, or whatever. But I digress. I think C is Rust is vibe code proof. Is vibe code proof code? Yeah, you could say that Rust. There probably is some vibeness to it because a lot of but Rust has definitely a place. I think so. I've read like stories of like people rewriting stuff in like Go, which is really fast, versus like another programming language, and they're like, we saved you like $100,000 because it's quicker, or it does less requests, or whatever, or like, you could. But we from what I've read and listened to people that are actually like developers, they're like, coding used to be a sport where you had to learn how to package really complex code in the smallest amount of memory. Like, look at video games. Some video games, like the resources they were dealing with, you had to really think about your code in order to make it as efficient as possible on the hardware you're given. Now we live in a society where you can get enterprise level hardware at home. So now it's becoming less of how can I live like the GNU Software's foundation, make something really good and make something good once and make it really good. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, become really good at one thing and make it do what it's supposed to really well. Like, if you're going to make a password manager, make the password manager really well. Quit cramming in all these extra features that people might not use. Hence why you should like, I mean, simplicity is sometimes something that we take for granted. We like take it for real granted. Like, imagine just opening up an MP3 player that like VLC looks like fucking based. Yo, why'd they ban these cards? These fucking cocks. These dumb bitches. This is a good card. Oh, I got money too. So I could think Rust probably has some place in the coding space where it might see more value than if it was going to be native C. That's just my point of view. I'm not a developer though, so at the end of the day, like, developers are gonna like look at Kotlin. Kotlin is, I think, still one of the biggest users in Android, and Android had a lot of problematic vulnerabilities. But if Rust could be implemented in the Android source code, where memory corruption could be maybe solved, that is something to think about. I mean, Graphene OS's whole point Oh, I gotta wait till November 18th. Yay! God, this is gonna be such a sick deal. Never mind. On November 18th, we know what we doing. So like, if on the Android, like this is why Graphene OS talks about it. Like the hardened malloc has helped save tons of, and memory tagging has helped save tons of vulnerabilities and exploits happening due to the fact that I mean, I would have to really read on like what memory tagging is. Memory safe bugs, which are errors in handling memory in native program languages, are common code issues. They lead to security vulnerabilities as well as stability problems. ARM v9 introduces the ARM memory tagging extension, a hardware extension that allows you to catch use after free and buffer overflow bugs. And I think, yeah, buffer overflows are like the biggest still security problem in Android. And I think it's getting reduced more and more due to like how they're doing it. When decentralized control over homemade computer components. Yeah, well, like, I mean, look at, what do you call it? I would love a robot vacuum, but it's quite literally just spyware at that point. I mean, it has to map your house and everything. Oh, when decentralized control over homemade. I think decentralized has a place, but I think a lot of people are just using that word to boost their token. Crypto has kind of like ruined the whole plot. I mean, Jeet users kind of ruined the whole plot of and price retards kind of ruined the whole point of decentralization. Like, here's a list of decentralization apps. They might bake boot keys into chips to stop Monero. No, it would be Monero is not really stoppable. But here's IPFS decentralized. Run on Flux. Actually decentralized. People making it themselves. People that can is running this hardware you can run on there. Nostr. Actually decentralized social media. I run my own. Can't separate money and state if you have centralized chip manufacturing. How they ban side. So the banning of sideloading is kind of misleading. It's Graphene OS in current 2025 is not actually affected by this. You can't ban sideloading, especially unless you make it completely impossible where it's blocked. But again, Graphene OS has already stated that they're not affected by it. This whole like Android sideloading thing. A lot of people are just spreading FUD though. Again, this isn't until 2026. This is not even implemented yet. Google could brick Graphene. They could. 100%. I'm not saying they couldn't. They could stop it. They could close source their software, but Google would be hurting themselves. They're losing free labor. At the end of the day, Graphene OS and open source developers to Google are free labor. They can say no boot to Graphene like Apple. Sure. But again, they're losing free labor then. Because all of this is, Google heavily relies on the free labor aspect. I think that's something that people don't talk about. That's a lot. They've disclosed countless vulnerabilities, and Google has implemented stuff that they have fixed. So I don't think they're going to block Graphene OS from operating. They would have done it by now. They could have done it by now. You know what I mean? It would have been a by now thing. Because they don't really, they have no obligation to. So government regulates that all software must be signed by the approved devs. No more Monero. You really can't do that because, again, it's decent. Unless you firewall every single application on the planet, which money is bigger than software industry. Yeah, but they've tried to stop. Monero's been delisted. Here. Here's my answer. DEX are almost immutable to this. You can't make this software just disappear. You would have to make Tor illegal. You would have to make it impossible. If Tor was impossible, look, if people in China can get on the darknet, then it's just not old PCs die, new PCs are boot locked. It's not possible. It's just not possible. When you look at how decentralized the internet is, you could say the same thing with email. Email's a protocol, and email is blocked in a few countries, like Google, etc., etc. It's just not possible to make this all illegal and non-bootable. You can't do that, especially people that the black market exists. People will just buy and refurbish old PCs and make it happen. China, which is one of the most, actually Russia's probably worse in terms of freedom on the internet. They have state-owned media. They have they're cutting the cord from a lot of internet service providers to make their own intranet. And North Korea. North Korea is maybe the closest you could get, but there are still people that definitely get on the internet and have some form of ways of getting around it. Why can't I have FOSS on a car then? You can. You technically can. You can just buy a car, rip out all the. You're not required to buy a new car, and you're not required or mandated to use any of the built-in features. You can once you own the car, you can rip out the boot lock, the boot chain to their software. No, you can rip out their. What software? Companies have the right to quite literally lock down their software and make you. It's their product. After you purchase it, I don't know what you mean by old cars are dying. Define old, 2010. You would have to define new cars are proprietary. Define new car, define old cars, Teslas, but not everybody has you're not required to buy a Tesla. Don't buy don't buy a Tesla. That's my I'm saying it from a logical standpoint. Again, companies privacy cars. Yeah, all cars have terrible privacy. I agree. They're not good. They have the worst. They don't exist. Privacy in cars is non-existent unless you buy. Saying old cars are dying is kind of just I think that's a lame excuse because I had a car from 92 that I drove well into the hundreds of thousands of miles. I just took care of it, and I have the knowledge to fix it. And if you want the knowledge to fix it in 2025, you can just fix it yourself. Especially older cars are easier to fix. I agree that I don't like vendor lock-ins. I don't like. So why can't the same happen in the PC market? Because they could just do it now. Again, they have no obligation. If you want to brick lock PCs and do all these extra steps, you could just do it now. Nothing stops them. Nothing stopping them. New chips locked down by centralized manufacturing. Like what? I mean, I just bought a new laptop that is completely built on core boot. 2025. 2025, bought a new laptop, core boot, out of country, by the way, even during all these tariffs, and I had no issue getting it. And core boot is about as open source as you can get besides the Libre boot. Libre boot, or GNU boot, if you want to be more correct on it. Government just needs to regulate. Regulate what? People buying stuff? They already did. I mean, they tariff the shit out of a bunch of... And which government? Like, government... Name the government, and then if you just say any government, that's just like kind of like a... What I would call a cop-out. Like, you're just like pointing government... Like, government's not an entity. There's people in government. There's real people in the government. So, like, you're, like, saying the current government or, like, the current people in the government or world government. If you say world government, then this conversation is just returned. I agree that chip manufacturing should probably be done in your home country to have the security of it. But, again, I just bought a laptop with open source BIOS, and it runs Intel, but, like, the microcode is a problem, but... I think people overblow the Intel management system. It's completely disableable, which I did. I disabled the Intel management system, but it does have features on there that were more geared towards enterprise, and it's just every bank has interest. But I don't care about the banks. That's irrelevant. Banks to maintain monopoly, sure. But, like, what do you mean by maintain monopoly? I can go to other banks. There's no single bank in America. We have multiple banks. We have, if you just say all the banks are working together, that's just retarded. Like, if you're trying to, like, slightly hint towards some, like, global entity, then they lobby government? Sure. Everybody lobbies government. Lobbying isn't a problem until it's against your interest. Again, it's just they're like, they lobby government, so does everyone. Everyone, got lobbyists. There's tons of lobbyists in the government. Bro, Monero separating money and state. I'm just saying, everybody lobbies government. It just depends if it's good for you or against you. You could hate lobbying right now, and then tomorrow, if someone's lobbying in your interest, you're going to be like, I love lobbying. It's lobbyists. It's like, there are good things that have lobbied towards better outcomes for people, and there's bad things. That's just the reality of it. It's just who's ever on the receiving end of the stick. I think lobbying there is a problem with lobbying, and, like, there's an issue with, like, money in politics, but that's just that's going to be a forever thing. It's not ending tomorrow. And people having thoughts about this, they're like, guys, I think I figured it out. No, you didn't. We've known about this for a long time. And it still hasn't changed. Idiocracy came out, like, 20 years ago? And we figured out that, like, government does bad things. Like, guys, government does bad things and lobbying exists. Good job. You have an education higher than an 8th grader with an IQ above room temperature. I don't think it's an interesting thought to have because it doesn't solve anything. I think people that think like this or, like, talk like this don't actually get involved in politics, and they don't actively do anything, and it's a waste of, like, oxygen in a sense, because it doesn't. And this is just, like, not me, like, bashing on people that have, like, these thoughts, because I think maybe they just didn't take their schizophrenic medication that day. They essentially, it doesn't do anything, having these thoughts, because it's already known. Like, we know government sucks in a lot of aspects, and it's inefficient in some aspects. Lobbying is a problem. doesn't matter if we know about it. What do you do about it? How do you fix it? Just like privacy policies, I think we need to. I mean, on the privacy side, I think it would be good to take. I think it would be good to take chip manufacturing and put it in the United States, 100%, because I think that just secures the supply, and we don't have to run to a chip shortage like we did in like in 2020 and all the way up to 2024. I would like an open source option for the chip side. The solution is finding a way to make chip manufacturing decentralized, like how I can have Bridgeport in my garage. Yeah, I think that's a realistic solution. Actually, that does exist. I wouldn't say decentralized chip manufacturing, because that just sounds retarded. Just have an open market that allows people to manufacture chips and actually just make chips in the United States. That'd be opposite. Actually, you can do this. You can make chips yourself. There's no regulation that prevents you from making chips. There is something called chip manufacturing is just very expensive from what I understand. Like actually making your own semiconductors, but there's something called the wafer.space GF180 MCU run. Silicon manufacturing made simple. Thanks to open PDKs, advanced open source EDAs, and programming like Tiny Tapout, it's never been easier to design a chip. Low barrier to entry, I mean. Yeah, you could say like low barrier entry would be awesome, but the problem is just, supply, market, and demand. There first has to be a demand of people that want open source chip manufacturing done and at a low cost. I mean, we have to understand, like, a lot of people that, and again, like, there's no hate towards, I used to think like this when I was like very revolutionary in my brain, and I'm like, what causes supply and demand? What causes price? How do we do low barrier entry? If you would have asked me like 20 years ago to give you a desktop server at the cost of like maybe somebody like average in the household could afford, they would laugh at you and be like, you're retarded. Now we have Raspberry Pis. I mean, maybe we'll go back like 30 years ago or whatever. Now we have Raspberry Pis. Raspberry Pis are the cheapest, lowest barriers entry into a desktop server for somebody that just off-the-shelf market that doesn't understand how servers work, and you can learn a lot with them in the tinkering side, and I mean quite literally the cheapest you can get. There's obviously cheaper options out there now that we have a more open market. And I do agree. I mean, I am always going to be in the advocacy of an open market. I mean, look at Intel. Intel just got into the GPU market. That's fucking crazy. Intel is just got into the GPU market. I have an Arc GPU, for my first ever one. I've had AMD GPUs, I have NVIDIA GPUs, and there's only two fucking options, which is crazy. There's not even really an open source GPU. Let that one sink in your head. Because a lot of these companies get all these contracts with these bigger manufacturers. Why the fuck would I, as a manufacturer, fulfill 5 orders for you when I can fulfill 10,000 orders for fucking NVIDIA? Who am I going to pick? Like, you know what I mean? So the monopoly is a problem. I'm not disagreeing with that. The monopoly is a problem. The high cost of entry is a problem. I agree with that. But how do you get a low cost entry? You get a low cost entry due to competition and demand. You need a demand for people that want this specific niche. And the fact is, to be completely honest, there's going to be no demand. I mean, people have a stroke even thinking about making. I want you to think about this one for a second. Put this in the back of your head. Pre-built gaming PC. This is still a fucking thing. $469, $1,000, $1,200, $1,300, $1,100. You quite literally do not need to pay somebody to fucking build your PC at this point. It is retarded. It's simple. It's not hard. And if people are like, you need to be sensitive to people that have. I'm a walking learning disability. Like, Just read the diagrams, watch like 4-hour videos of Linus Tech Tips putting these fucking PCs together, and you can literally do it. You can just watch one Linus video, or I think there's quite literally, what is it? Let's see how many videos there are. How to build a PC. It's the first thing. So a long time ago, I would say it was very difficult and very expensive to build a PC. It was not low barrier entry, only stream. I mean, there was a period of time where streamers, this was the standard PC case. And I'm not even kidding. It's kind of crazy to even think about this dual PC case. This was like the standard. This was it was because you needed two cases to stream. You needed two PCs to stream. Now you don't. I stream on one PC, one graphics card. That's how good my graphics card has gotten. So eventually, when there becomes when the barrier of entry starts to drop, is when there's enough supply and demand. There is, obviously an overwhelming demand and maybe a finite or a huge amount of supply. Or, then when the supply drops and the demand increases, then obviously they can charge these arbitrary prices. That's all it is. I don't think it's some crazy market manipulation happens regardless. Let me rephrase that. I don't think it's some crazy, like secret organization trying to hoard the chip manufacturers. There just has to be somebody has to wake up and be like, I can make this better, I can make this cheaper, and I have the resources and the materials to make this, and I want to enter the market. LG left the phone industry because it was oversaturated. There wasn't no one cared about the innovation. I wanted to look at the last fucking phone that LG made. This is a perfect example. This is a perfect example. The LG smartphone manufacturer was produced on May 2021, marking this was the last phone they made right here. An absolute fucking wild double screen phone. Who in the fuck would want this? I touched this. I met someone who went out and took their money and made this. And actually bought this. Why the fuck did they make this? I forgot about it. Until now. But they were trying to be different. They were trying to make a difference. And they were trying to be out of the ordinary. I don't know. They're like, how can we be different? How can we stand out? Let's make two fucking cameras on this shit. And let me make it fold. And God, look at that fucking cutout. Damn you, LG. You really out here doing some crazy shit. So, and it's getting Android 13. So, that is, kind of my point. Notebooks, LM's most beloved feature is coming to Google. I don't know what the fuck that is. That is kind of my point, is that low barrier entry only comes from a few things. The ability for people to want to get into this kind of space, which they don't because they're competing against NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. And Intel is barely making it by the way. Who the fuck wakes up and they're like, guys, time to build a new all Intel PC? Nobody. I have an ARC GPU and I think it's fine. I just think that people have pointed out that it's a lackluster. I think out of touch people say that, but they say it. I don't know. I'm not a gamer or a famous streamer, so My weight is very limited. But there are decentralized options out there, and they're getting there, and it's becoming awesome. And I agree. I mean, adoption takes a really long time. I don't want it to be dystopian. I don't think that Monero can be stopped, I mean, on a fundamental level, because try stopping software. I mean, if people get around it regardless. I don't think that it getting delisted has even slowed it down. There is a vast, huge community of people that care about privacy and care about security. And I think that the Monero community is much better than what people make it out to be. I don't know. That's just my perspective. I've ran into a lot of Monero maxis that I don't really have an issue with, except for maybe a few. The Bitcoin maxis I mainly have a problem with because Bitcoin maxis only care about one thing, the fucking price. That's always going to be my issue. And they can say that, like, look, guys, we have Lightning. Look, guys, we have Nostr. Well, in reality, Lightning is fucking retarded, and its only benefit is the speed, not the privacy. And speed can be achieved. Speed doesn't really matter if it doesn't maintain your privacy. That's something to, like, think about. Nostr is great, though. Nostr was probably the last good thing that came from Bitcoin, like the Bitcoin space. And Nostr isn't really a Bitcoin thing. I just know a lot of Bitcoin people on there. Have you seen the guy on YouTube who says that he can prove the key generation in the TMP of the Intel chip is compromised with C code? Dr. Jones? No, not really. I know who it is. I haven't seen the video. Of course. Does a compromise exist? I mean, we could pull up a list of compromises right here. Pegasus software. This alone is crazy. Superfish. Superfish is fucking crazy. It was an advertising company that developed various advertising supported products. Users have expressed concerns about the scans of an SSL encrypted web traffic by Superfish visual search software pre-installed on Lenovo from 2014 to 2015. Think about it. Superfish. That's crazy. A advertising company did this. Nothing. I think they got absolved finally. Thank God. Then Justin Visual. Superfish. Kent Thompson. Backdoor seat compiler. Look at Ken Thompson. I'm retarded. Ken Thompson in 1983. Reflection on Trusting Trust. describes the theoretical yet profoundly influential security exploit known as the Ken Thompson hacks. A hack involved inserting a backdoor into the Unix operating system's login function by modifying the C compiler. You would never be able to know this. You would never be able to detect it. It's completely crazy that someone can even do this. The true integrity of the hack lays in itself perpetuating nature. Thompson further modified the compiler to detect when it was compiling itself. When the compiler compiled its own source code, it would insert the code and embed in the backdoor in the login program, and also insert the code that would ensure the backdoor would be reinserted the next time the compiler is compiled. This created a recursive trust problem. Even if the source code of the compiler was audited and found clean, the malicious behavior would still be present in the system. That's fucking crazy. This motherfucker right here was like, you know what? Let me make something that would make it impossible for you to even fucking see. That's crazy. There's also this is pretty old. In 2014, research revealed that Alex smart bulbs could leak Wi-Fi passwords due to unencrypted communication. There was actually another one. There was one where they could. I hope I can find it. Eve's. You can use a light bulb to eavesdrop on people's conversations. You can, so pretty much at Ben Gurion University, the researchers have discovered it's possible to cover full conversations or sounds by just observing a light bulb. You can see the vibrations created when the sound hits the surface of the bulb, looking at a slight fluctuations in the bulb's light. They call the attack lamp phone, and it's outlined in a new paper. You can point to anything and be like, this is compromisable. No shit. They're finding something, optical. I can't really write. It's called the Mice-E mouse vulnerability. The Mice-E mouse vulnerability shows how high-performance computer mice could eavesdrop on conversation. That is fucking crazy. There's the air gap. There was a complete air-gapped PC that they got to compromise through memory module. It was like RAM in your air-gapped PC gave off a frequency that you could fucking listen to. It's just like, who fucking found this? Air-gapped attack turns memory modules into Wi-Fi radios. That's fucking insane. Here it is. I'm just saying, this shit fucking exists. It's but the question before you watch this video, the question is you have to have yourself, and you have to think about, is this going to be targeted towards me? Is my machine vulnerable to this actually? What was the stipulations of this? Was there malicious software already on there? What's the disclaimer? What's the asterisk? You have to ask these questions because a lot of this stuff doesn't affect anybody. Like, average people. There has to be a lot of nuance. There has to be specific environments. There has to be certain stuff that has to be set it up in order for it to be like if you're at the highest level of importance in society. Of course, this might apply to you more because people are trying to think of clever ways to fucking exploit you for whatever, your really funny haha tweets that you made like 10 years ago in your Discord chat or whatever. It's leaking the malware exploit to the RAM, turning it into a transmitter Wi-Fi band. That's. I don't fully understand how the hack's done. That's all I know. There is, what do you call it? Your HDMI cable is leaking information right now. The question you have to ask yourself: is it important enough for me to care about this? Should I just throw my PC out? If you're constantly worried about these esoteric hacks, take your schizophrenic medication, stop and get help, and get off the internet. That's my general advice. Because most of this is very esoteric and irrelevant to the common people in the public, because nobody's going to fucking do this. Again, it has to be specific environments. It has to have some form of vulnerability in your PC's environment. Like, you don't need to be walking around with like a blanket and like disabled hardware switches and monitor. Like, you might as well put a forever seatbelt onto you, put a little helmet on your head, and wrap yourself in bubble wrap, because it's just out of touch. That's just my general consensus that I come to the cross. Well, if you have a lot of crypto, then your key generation might be relevant. What do you mean? Just do an offline wallet. Pick a hardware wallet and air gap it. It's that simple. I mean, anything can be compromised at that point. And again, if you're that worried, then don't even invest in crypto. Just cut your seed phrase in half and burn your computer and throw it outside. Because you might as well just never drive. There's a possibility that you could drive tomorrow and get hit by a fucking train. Does that stop you from driving? No. You drive every day. You know what I mean? Like, you're more likely. I mean, I could think of 100 scenarios that you could face tomorrow. Just don't leave your house then. Turn off the Wi-Fi. Don't leave your house. I mean, there's complete air gap solutions for cryptocurrency. There's paper wallets. You can do all the transferring between the online and offline wallet. And your offline wallet, your private keys never touch the internet. The safest way. But safety, again, at the end of the day, is an illusion because of shit like this. To me, it's fascinating. I have a serious privacy. Yes, privacy burnout is a result of people that think run Pi-hole at the very least. Yeah, actually, guys. But the thing is, privacy burnout is generally what happens to new people that get into it. They overthink, and then they think about every crazy hack they read, and it ruins their entire day, their experience. Me, I mean that. So, if I could have a chart, where's a chart? Where's that meme graph chart? Oh, I hope I could find it. This is the one. So this is me in the beginning. Oh, this is the one. Stop reading what's on here. Even if the generation is offline, if it's weak, then it's compromisable big actors. Well, it's not. I mean, I have a lot of the offline wallets generate it with proven. So the generation, the way they generate these seed phrases, the odds of a double seed phrase happening is like 1 in like a stupid million. I mean, math is deterministic, and you can't fuck with math. This is something you have to remember. Math is deterministic. It does what it says it's going to do. That's it. Are the key generation on the trusted platform module of the Intel chip is key space is smaller in a weak generation? So how does it's the empatry of the generation that's weak? A seed phrase is a sequence of 12 to 24 randomly generated words that serve as a human readable representation of a master private key, acting as a master key in cryptographic wallets. It's created using a standardized process typically following the BIP39 protocol, which converts random numbers entropy into mnemonic seed phrases for easier storage and recall. The seed phrase is used as a deterministically generated an unlimited number of private keys and corresponding to public addresses through the hierarchical deterministic HD wallet algorithms, meaning that the same phrase will always produce the same two set of keys. The primary function of the keys. That's what I'm saying. Like the math after the randomness is generated. Yeah. But if it's random, and if it's random, then what would be the compromise? And especially if it's air gapped, what would be the compromise? I don't think you realize how big, the okay, look at Monero. Did I delete? I did delete it. Fuck, I'm not gonna re-download it, but I can generate. It's not random. It's weak. How is it weak? If you can explain to me right now how it's weak, I'll look it up. What makes it less random? What makes it less random? Tell me how it's weak, and point me where I can see this. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. You're just saying how is it weak? Handled by the chip doesn't mean it's weak. You're just saying it's handled by the chip. That doesn't mean it's weak. Look up the 1 hour bird. The 1 hour bid. No, I'm asking, how is the cryptocurrencies hashing algorithm? That doesn't, telling me to look up a vid doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but telling me looking up a vid doesn't tell me anything. Just because somebody finds a vulnerability doesn't mean that it's concrete, doesn't mean it's accurate, doesn't mean it's the same thing. I'm asking you just directly to completely explain, how is the cryptographic seed phrase, the master key, weak based on the chipset? How's it weak? Telling me to look up a vid doesn't do anything. That either means you are just taking someone's information and you're relaying it and you don't understand it. It's not the crypto algo. Okay, so what you're saying is the chipset. What makes the chipset make it weak? I need you to explain what you're saying so I can understand it. That's what I'm pointing out. If you're saying it's because the chip makes it weak, then explain, how does the chip make it weak? Because you watched the vid, I didn't. Me going and watching the video doesn't mean it. They use entropy generated from the chip. Okay? How's that weak? And do you realize different chipsets are different across the board? There are secure chipsets designed to be less random. Are all chips the same thing? Are all chips built the same equally in terms of entropy? That's my first question. Do they all produce the same output? Are they all made by the same manufacturer? Do they all have the same... I mean, actually, I can answer this very simple. ASE when assembly flags generated weaker subkeys is the supposed idea. Okay. So what if I don't use an ASEN and assembly flags generating weaker subkeys in the supposed idea? What if I don't use that chipset that does that? What if I pick a chipset that doesn't follow this same logic? Because saying this is acting like all chipsets, all chip manufacturers are the same thing. That's my point that I'm arising. Because the reason the Google Pixel is picked is because it has a secure chipset and it picks secure chipsets. That's the point. Because they realized, oh, wait, this is how we solve it by doing it this way. Like I have a hardware wallet, by the way, that uses, cryptography can be if cryptography is publicly auditable, I made my seed with a dice, but most are not. Actually, let's look that up. And dice technically would be deterministic. Are dice phrases? Because they have to be. The nature of dice rolls is complex and depends on the perspective from which they're viewed from. From a physical standpoint, dice rolls are governed by deterministic laws of motion. Math is deterministic. Let's look at the Blockstream gate. What's the most popular Trezor? How is the seed phrase made? Okay. With setting up the Trezor wallet, the seed phrase is generated using a combination of two independent sources of randomness. The device uses its internal true random number generator, TRNG, and the STM32 chip to produce the 256-bit of entropy. Bro, you're being a locale saying that I'm the one parroting? What do you mean by parroting? I'm not saying you're parroting. I'm saying that you are just saying a bunch of words and you're just like, look at this video. That doesn't mean anything. You're the one that's bringing the burden of proof. You have a claim. This claim needs to be met by the burden of proof. My only source of logic here is that what are you saying? You're saying that it's not the crypto algorithm. They use entropy generated from the chip designed to be less random, less entropy. You're making the claim, so you need to back up the claim. Then you say, look up the 1 hour video. The 1 hour video is based off one chipset. Basing it off one chipset doesn't mean that it's all chipsets, because all chips are different. They all equally come to a different conclusion on how they want to do their true random number generator and their encryption. Quite literally, Cloudflare gets their entropy from fucking lava lamps. That's what I'm saying. So saying I'm being a locale is just shows that you either A, are coming with information that you have no knowledge about, and you're just regurgitating information that you get from a 1 hour video, which I'm not discrediting someone that has knowledge of. How would I prove this in a comment? You have to test the entropy. Well, testing the entropy is right here. It's right in front of you. When setting up a Trezor wallet, the seed phrase is generated using a combination of two independent sources. The device uses its internal true random number generator, the TRNG, and the STM32 chip produced a 256-bit entropy, while the user's computer also provides a 256-bit of randomness during the setup process. These two sources are mixed together using the SHA-256 cryptography hash function to create a combination of 256-bit input. From this combination, the input, the seed phrase, is derived. The first 128 bits are used for the first 12-word seed phrase, and the full 256 bits are used for the 24 seed phrase. This is all public now. That's what I'm pointing. This is public cryptography. You have to test the entropy from the Trezor, which it does. Actually, the whole thing is about ASA, and not the chipset. The YouTube video series. Okay. So even if the whole thing is about so there are chipsets that can produce weak encryption. That's not crazy. There's shitty chipsets out there that have poor encryption. They have poor TRNG, which is the true number generator. There are poor chips out there. Do not get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing with that. But to say it's less entropy, it's less random, it's XYZ, you literally, and if you think this is possible, why aren't you out there cracking 12 to 24 seed phrases and making tens of thousands of dollars? A logical person, if they think that it's weaker security and it's less entropy and it's worse, then why wouldn't you be testing it? Because if I had this knowledge, that's what I would do with it. That would be my first assumption. And I'm not saying that hardware wallets out there haven't made mistakes. AES is an Intel CPU microcode for the optimizing AEC mech. AEC-NI is an Intel CPU microcode for optimizing the AEC mechanics. Yeah, there's probably, and their microcode's probably proprietary and, perspective. Let's look up weakness. Weakness in the 12 seed phrase. And I'm okay with their weaknesses. The primary weakness in a 12 seed phrase lies not in the cryptography strength, but users relate factors such as storage handling and potential error, while a 12 seed phrase provides 128 bits of entropy, which I think we have, in 2025, we've actually come to the conclusion that 128 bits of encryption versus 256, they're virtually right now uncrackable. In the current scheme, but people say, why not just do 256? The extra encryption and the extra layers of it is kind of essentially a better option. Why not just do it? We are doing a lot of companies will do quantum resistant encryption algorithms ahead of time because they think that maybe in the future they might have some malice and they might be usable in the future. This is why, if you were to ask me back in maybe 1999, if 120-bit ASE encryption was the optimal performance, and say that one before it was just as efficient as 128, why not do the extra 128 bits to provide extra layer security for, obviously, when the government does store now, decrypt later kind of tactics. So 128 bits of encryption entropy, which is considered uncrackable for the foreseeable future due to the astronomical numbers of possible combinations, 5.4x 10 to the power of 39. Its security is contingent on the proper use behavior. Both 12-word and 24-word phrase are vulnerable to phishing attacks, physical theft, and user and storage. So it's not really the randomness is so good. It can be so weak. In terms of perspective, it looks like it doesn't really matter because it does 128 bits of entropy because of how quote-unquote random it is. Obviously, physical theft and user error storage, those aren't things that are an encryption problem. Those are people problems. A securely stored 12-word phrase is far more effective than a careless handled 24 one. Although some argue that 12-word seed phrase may be less secure due to their 128-bit entropy compared to 256-bit. For 24 words, this difference does not translate into practical security benefits. This is true. The underlying private key derived from a 12-word CV is still secure by the SEP 256K1 elliptic curve, by the way, based, which has the security level 128 bits. This means that brute forcing the private key using the most efficient algorithm, Pollard's Rhino, requires approximately 2 to the power of 28 operations regardless of the seed length. Therefore, theoretical advantage of a 24 is negligible in practice. Another consideration is the risk of collision in large-scale deployments. Cryptographer Wayne Dillon noted that 12-word C phrases, while sufficient for single-user security, may face collision risk in multiple user environments where millions of wallets are generated, as the system can only support up to 2 to the power of 64 keys without such risk. The double collision is something that people have thought about, where I think 2 people would get the same wallet address, and this would cause an issue. But it's obviously negligible because it's 2 to the power of 64 keys without such risk. Ultimately, the most efficient weakness of a 12-word C phrase is its not length, but the user's ability to protect it, mistakes in writing it down, storing, etc., etc. So it's not an issue of the chip generating this. The real issue is always going to be user error. 128 bits is always still in 2025. Is still very secure, but when you go onto a website, obviously it's like, we used military grade 256-bit entropy. And to say you have to test the entropy from the Trezor, it is. I think they do test it. I mean, they make these wallets and they send them out. If they were as easy as to crack, they would be probably being cracked left and right now, and people would be losing their marbles. They'd be like Trezor. I mean, has there been security breaches? Yes. But a security vulnerability being discovered isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means that we caught it and maybe we can learn from it. Sometimes it's a learning experience. Is it a good thing? No. Always no. Like, it's not always a good thing. But if it's something where you did your best to encrypt everything and make sure everything is secure, and you do all the right protocols, but there was a gap in the security, there was a crack somewhere, and somebody found it, unfortunately, then what are you going to do? Let it go? No, probably not. You're going to patch it. You're going to be like, oh, I missed that. And because I missed this, I'm going to essentially make it better. Sometimes vulnerabilities turns into learning processes where people can find gaps in their security and make them better. It's not always a bad thing. But again, I digress. That's my point. I just want to know where this statement of, like, I mean, is a Diceware seed phrase better? Maybe. Is a 32 password better than a 15-digit password? You got to ask yourself, what are you putting? If you put your password as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 30. This is where I've learned people get length and complexity, and they don't realize that length matters with a slight variation of complexity. If I have a very short secure password where it's like, say, like 5 digits, but the 5 digits is just star sign, asterisk sign, or whatever, LP12, star sign, underscore LP1, versus Big Balls Buffalo goes to the store and pisses on homeless people -32, that's going to be a harder password to crack than the 5 digits, even though it's random. It's more random. It's like you're just picking random stuff on your keyboard in terms of symbols, because the length is the computer's trying to guess like all these words and letters that are correlating to each other into a sentence. This is why they say passphrases are more efficient. I think vulnerabilities are inevitable since we have all these. They're so smart. Easy to confirm that you have properly generated entropy with dice. People have been stolen from with a bad key generation. Sure. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. That'd be insane. But I think you're making it out like this is a problem at the chip level, and this exists everywhere. Again, Cake Wallet had a problem at one time. No, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I think Cake Wallet actually had an issue their biggest issue was their hardware wallet, which was not good. But their hardware wallets don't rely on secure chipsets; they rely on phones. But I'm not entirely. I haven't used Cake Wallet for a long time. I think vulnerabilities are inevitable since we have all these smart many devices. The best way to go is tech is to minimize. I think the best option is actually to pick secure open source chipsets that use secure open source standards, and these standards eventually reach to a conclusion. So Monero's here's the thing about Monero. Monero's uses the elliptic curve for its algorithm. If you want to get into the math, uses the elliptic curve algorithm in order to create, I believe, the wallets and everything. And the ring signatures mathematically sound like, oh, this is going to be. So it's kind of interesting. The ring signatures create 16 fake addresses, and these addresses are one-time use. The address that you use is a one-time use. Your real address never touches the blockchain. These 16 fake fictitious spend keys kind of like blast off the network, and it's like it does this based on the fact that it's kind of like it's impossible. It does what it does mathematically, but it's impossible to figure out which one kind of did it. And then in private, in the undertow, it takes the private key and it's like, hey, I know you haven't been spent twice. I know you haven't been spent twice, so you can't do a commit like a double spending, but I don't know what you look like. It's like, I know you didn't get spent twice, but I know what you didn't look like. That's like the cool part about it. Honest question, what do you do to be zen and escape privacy, security, burnout, paranoia? I have the same issue, I cannot sleep. You just realize that security vulnerabilities are practical. They do happen. Nothing is perfect. You can't have perfect security is not possible. You can only have practicality, privacy, and security. Leave the U.S. I mean, throw your PC out and leave. I mean, even leaving the U.S., there's worse countries that have worse privacy implementations than us. The EU is trying to pass like chat control, which was fucking retarded. There's countries that have perceived privacy. I mean, it depends. Like, you got to have practical. What the fuck are you hiding from? Russia. Just kidding. I mean, don't be on YouTube. Yeah, I'll tell you that. But the point is, I think most people, quite literally, think way too much about perfect privacy and not practical privacy. Perfect security and not practical security. Practical security is using a password generator. A password manager. Just be practical. Use a password manager. Use stuff that align with your values in terms of free and open source if you can. If you don't care about proprietary, then find proprietary apps that align with your values there. I mean, that's just the reality of it. If you sit there and think about every hack and every data breach out there in existence, you're just going to want to kill yourself. I mean, just kill yourself at that point, because you can't escape that kind of life. Keep as based. I mean, I like Bitwarden. No hate to them. Keep as base. I think most people overestimate what an adversary wants and has and is. If the government isn't the thing that's hunting you, first off, if the government's hunting you, get off YouTube. Get off YouTube. Get off the internet. Move into the woods. Burn all your shit. And do not. I mean, because you're not. The government can make 50 million mistakes and you can make only one. But if it's just you're escaping like the normal person, you're escaping techno surveillance capitalism, vendor lock-in, then that burnout doesn't really exist anymore. It doesn't exist. That burnout disappears because you're like, I'm doing all the right things, I'm making all the right decisions, I'm doing what's best for me, Like me, I have boundaries. I don't talk to people that don't use Signal. Like in my personal life, you don't use Signal, you don't get a message from me. I don't talk to people that don't incorporate some form of encryption in the communications. I try to use free and open source software as much as possible, but I don't lose sleep over it if I have to use Google Maps once, or if I have to use Uber once, or if I have to use this once, because it's all about what makes my life more efficient and better. I quite literally, I travel out of the country sometimes, and I go in places where I have no cell service, and organic maps is better because it doesn't require me to have fucking internet access. And sometimes it's not better, and I have to use Gmaps. So I find ways around it. You have to make compromises some places. It's not possible to be 100% private and secure and have convenience. You just can't. You can't do it. Remove convenience away from it. If you think you can have convenience and ease of use and 100% privacy and security, you're lying to me and you're gay. And there's nothing wrong with being gay, but you're lying to me. And I found out that not everyone can use KeePass. It's not possible. Some people like their stuff to sync. They like the sync, they like stuff syncing. They like it. That's fine. Just use something better. Not hiding. I live in an area with extreme cyber surveillance and no concept of basic human digital right autonomy. Sure. Bro, the guy U.S. is a Fed, never sleep, never go outside, never use technology. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, but even if it's even if you have all of this, then no, I'm saying if you're, if you think that my logic is, if you come to the conclusion that you have all the surveillance, yeah, don't do anything. Don't go outside. Don't do anything. Don't that's the answer. If you think all these things, there's no way you can have perfect privacy and perfect security. It's impossible. It's an illusion. It's like an illusion that you are never going to come to. So just don't go outside. Don't use the internet. That's the simplest illusion. It's practical, rational people that actually know what they're talking about always will come to the conclusion: what am I trading off for privacy and security? What am I gaining? That's simple. I like I said, I like Signal. The KeePass not syncing is a thing I feels. Just use sync thing. Use sync thing. That's what I do. Sync thing's great, and you can actually use sync thing with I2P if you want to maintain. If you don't want to use global the global syncers, the global relays, and you want it to be end-to-end encrypted, you can use I2P. It's completely possible. It's kind of cool. There's a really cool guide out there on the internet. Or you can use it completely 100% locally. So every time you come home, sync thing catches it. It's like, hey, something changed, and then that's what I do. I use sync thing completely locally. My passwords don't change enough to the point where I need constant syncing. So I just use it on my local area network, and it's amazing. Sorry about that. The keypad's not syncing is a thing. Okay. Like here's a good example. If you want to have Facebook or Instagram because all your friends do, and you don't want to feel left out, who cares? Have it. Just make it private. Fake all your information. Be like, hey guys, I don't want to really have Facebook, but this is where you're all at. I'm just gonna make it private. Don't put any personal information, but like my name's gonna come up as Dick and Balls. You know what I mean? Like, just fake the information. It's not legally required to put your real information in these places. Who cares? Like, I have a big bundle of Post-it papers with passwords written on them. What a boomer thing to do. Based, but boomer. But what if someone walks by that Post-it note and they see it? At least on my phone, it could be hidden in a folder. And Graphene OS gives me the option to disconnect the internet from it. Oh, bro, get keypads. Yeah, for real. I think keypads would actually be safer. But that's the point that I make is you're going to compromise some places. It's completely fine. It's okay to compromise. If you need Facebook and Instagram or Pinterest to communicate with your friends and not isolate yourself, just do it. There's nothing wrong with letting certain stuff down non-surf is great. Just use Tor, bro. Or proxies. Just do it yourself. What is BIP39 explained? Wow, would this person tell me?
BIP, or VIP, is an acronym that stands for Bitcoin Improvement Proposal. And anytime someone creates a proposal, the idea is assigned a number. Today, we're going to be looking at BIP39, which outlines a standard way to create and back up a crypto wallet using a mnemonic phrase. Welcome to Whiteboard Crypto, the #1 YouTube channel for crypto education. Here, we explain topics of the cryptocurrency world using analogies, simple stories, and examples so that anyone can easily understand them.
I hate this channel already. It reminds me of like 2010 in the worst of ways. 33K on 1 million subs? Dude, there's no way this fucker did not fucking pay for his subs.
Say is the fastest layer 1 blockchain today, able to process over 12,000 transactions per second. It combines the toolkit and apps of the Ethereum virtual machine with the performance and scalability of Solana. And with their new Giga roadmap, they plan to make it even faster. Welcome to Whiteboard Crypto, the #1 YouTube channel for crypto.
All my supposed friends are pathological liars. I don't engage with them. I mean, sure. I mean, like, I wouldn't really call them friends then. I'm just saying hypothetically. Trump coin and Millennium meme coin? Tron? The Pi network and Pi token? A daily clicking scam or a huge airdrop? What is the Pi at? I remember someone was like telling me about this fucking shithole of a coin. They're like, I get so much money in this. Yeah, that's about right. Got dumped in 2025. Yeah, I don't have any real friends, I think. Sorry to hear that. You got a friend of me. Yeah, I called this shit too. I was like, this looks like a fucking retard made this shit. What a joke. And it's just stealing your data. Can you even trade this garbage? The Pi Network touts mining reward performance upgrade in 1 day ago. Wow, they're on version 0.54. You got a friend in me. What is the official Trump coin teaching me? It's up 500%, guys. You should have bought instead of doing anything else. You guys should have been buying Trump coin. Who doesn't love their federal government making their own meme coin? Wow, that's fucking gay. What is on the top? So Bitcoin obviously number 1, 100K. Guys, instead of instead of eating lunch, you should have been buying Bitcoin in 2009. Let's look at the all-time performance. Guys, instead of shitting and farting in 2013, you should have been buying Bitcoin at $123. You would have if you would have bought one Bitcoin, you would have made $100,000 in only about 10 years. Oh wait, JK. You guys could have bought a lot in 2012. Go to ChainSpect and look at the fastest crypto, please. Speed doesn't matter. Hell no. Web3's top blockchain fundamentals tracker. How do I look at it? Wow. Tron. Waterfall. What the fuck is this? See what I mean? Like, balls chain. See, that's what I'm saying. You have to fucking... Decentralization. What is the most decentralized? Apparently, Monero is. Scalability. Oh, okay. Solana? That's crazy. Solana's dog shit. I thought someone made even a meme. They're like, Solana goes out. Solana, like, it was like, it showed like Solana versus AWS outage, and it was like really funny. They're like, guys, can we have AWS at home? AWS at home, and it was like a picture of Solana. Max TPS, 100 blocks, max there. Block time. 4 seconds, guys. Pop OS 24. Its beta sucked so bad, even though Cosmic D is awesome and cool and based in Rust. True. Yeah, you're right. Speed isn't everything. Yeah, speed doesn't fucking matter. So, this is the interesting about Monero. Monero actually, the first confirmation, you already confirmed that you're getting you're going to get the block. It takes about 20 minutes for it to settle, but once you get that first confirmation, you're solid. Like, you're pretty much going to, it's like the money's there, but it's kind of like waiting for confirmation. This is something that people kind of forget. They're like, oh my god, it's not in my fucking wallet. Like, I just got fucking scanned. You didn't. Like, as long as you scan it and you see the first confirmation, you're solid. This is why, like, when I buy stuff with Monero, it's like, cool, thanks. Like, all it needs is just confirmation on the blockchain that it's the first transaction has been validated. And you can kind of speed up that process with money. It's just, it's more expensive than it's worth. Whoa, Stellar, remember this, guys? Remember Stellar? That shit was retarded. BNB chain, remember this retard? The guy that owns Binance? Yeah, that guy got off with federal crimes. Fuck him. I thought this was the fastest. Remember the Near protocol? Open in ChatGPT. What will they teach me? What is ChatGPT going to tell me? I don't have direct access to it, but I can tell you soon. Guys, I learned nothing about Nier. I'm mad. I really like ICP though. I mean, I'm guys, ICP's faster. Guys, ICP's #1. Insane Clown Posse. Oh, that's funny. I forgot about this token. I remember when it came out. I don't know if it's going to do anything different. I mean, my brother in Christ, what do you like about it? What do you enjoy about this? Please tell me. Oh, I'm sorry. If you got a bag holding on to it, please. V-Sodium is awesome, man. I'm addicted, though. I'm a big-time code editor ID hater. What's the one ID I hate the most? It's a slow cook. Yeah, apparently very slow. Apparently the cookout people aren't even showing up. Like super slow. Very slow. Oh wait, up 74%, guys. If you bought a month ago, it doubled your money. Never mind. Guys, I'm good. Guys, I'm good. I'm up. JK. Sea Lion is the worst, I think. I think the worst. I didn't like JetBrains. Anything, to be honest. That's where the chart. That's why the chart looks like that. Watch the video on how FTX ruined it. Oh yeah, I'm assuming FTX fucking ruined it. What was it? Was it by what was that one fucking absolute loser in crypto? He's like super annoying. What's his name? He like went to jail and shit. Not the Coin Bureau. I hate the Coin Bureau, by the way, because he's British. This guy? Oh my god. There's a different person?
It's one of the most important.
This guy's too British for me. I just fucking hate him. I really don't like the British. And now he's hired people. He's hired people. By the way, anything that involves where the government gets involved in cryptocurrency, immediate. I do not like. Immediate red flag. That removes the decentralization. That means that you are centralizing and getting people in power to buy your coin so that you can pump your bags. Micro editor. What about Emacs? Emacs can be considered an operating system, guys. So XRP has always been, in my opinion, a shit show for decentralization because it's just a bunch of cucks that want to make a bunch of money, and that's fine. If they want to be retarded, that's their choice. Tokenized RWAs will take over crypto, but these guys say this shit all the time.
Once upon a time, many believed that cryptocurrency was the future of finance. Today, however, it's becoming clear that crypto...
I don't like this guy. BlackRock's tokenized plans exposed KYC. Yep. It's not really hard. ETF ward. Dex show. Apparently he's still alive.
The Perpdex wars are in full swing, and things are only in...
Ah, God, I just hate him because he's British. The problem is, all these people are trying to solve something and do nothing. Huge pump.fund just burned 98% of revenue on pump token. 220 million at stake. I don't know why I pulled up the Coin Bureau. But I just thought of that. Crypto cycle expanded. ICP killed by FTX. To buy Bitcoin, I'm required to buy via authenticating my system. Yeah, of course. ICP killed by FTX. There's a lot of countries like that. So, like, when I was about a year and a half ago, how the FTX almost killed by 6 figs. This is just a bag holder. Anytime I see people that are onto something, I assume they're holding a massive amount of wealth. Jesus Christ, this guy is a fucking loser. Bro, just say you have all your money in ICP. And to have the same fucking thumbnail. God damn. The net project did 75x. Yeah. This NFT project did 75x. Yeah. It did fucking 75x. 75x into the ground. Man, is this guy a fucking... Is this guy one of the fucking developers? As a Monero stand, I expect people to be skeptical of me. Because how much I love Monero. But I also, again, make it clear that I do not care about Monero's price, like, as much as these fucking people do. Flat fiat versus printer. Yeah. Blockchain pilled is... Yeah, that's a name. But making your identity off of one coin is kind of crazy. ICP sabotage. Oh, 3 minutes?
Take us back to that, Daniel. Talk to him.
I'm already disinterested because of how many old people are in this frame. Anytime I see these fuckers, they're like... I just assume boomers. They're like, I missed the bull run on penny stocks. I found my way to scam people with my crypto ideology.
Miguel and I are really curious. There's a lot of speculation around the ICO that was the ICO, right? Take us back to that. What does that look like? Just kind of.
You don't got to go back. I remember ICP too.
Take me through that drop and why there's so much chaos and speculation.
This is gay. This is 3 years ago. So this is even more gay. Crypto Keeper. I swear, crypto... Watch it. Watch it. Crypto trading war. God. I just hate boomers, man. 9 months ago. Can I trust this guy? Never trust anyone that looks like this. I'm sorry. They give me like...
Take us back to that, Daniel. Talk to us.
Okay, I'll you know what? I'll respect it and I'll watch. But only because you asked. But I'm doing playback speed one and a half because they're talking too much.
Miguel and I are really curious. There's a lot of speculation around the ICO that was.
Just anyone that looks like any of these three guys that talk about crypto, I immediately lose respect. Daniel, crypto is good. And then the guy's name's Crusader. I just immediately don't. Honestly, not only I don't respect them, I don't believe them.
Right? Take us back to that. What does that look like? Just kind of take me through that drop and why there's so much chaos and speculation around that.
There's still a pretty bad drop and chaos. I'm trying to like pause and think because I don't want them to DMC strike me. Crypto bros are like the worst on the internet. They think that they can sue you for anything you say. I think all three look retarded, and that's just my opinion.
Because there's going to be when you're going to know what happened.
So if you look at the graph for ICP, right? Well, let's start there. You look at the graph for ICP, the one that everyone looks at, started at about $2,000, right? And everybody's freaking out. And I think the FTX will start at $5,000. Insane. Okay. If you look at the other graph, the one that's perpetual contracts in FTX, it actually started at $80. Nobody looks at that perpetual contracts graph. ICP was supposed to start at $80, but FTX, knowing that Coinbase was going to release the token in 4 days, and Binance was going to release the token in 4 days, they released futures contracts, so that all the users from FTX could buy futures contracts on the ICP token before it got to the Coinbase pump. So that means that the FTX future traders doing 100x whatever pumped that up all the way to $500-600, and then the news was like, oh, ICP is the first coin to ever release in the top 10, top 3. It should have never been there, right? There was no ecosystem, have features weren't out yet. The reason that these layer ones are in the top 10 is because they have this passive demand that people want to use their ecosystem. Ethereum has a passive demand. In order for me to buy NFTs, I need to buy Ethereum first and then buy NFT. ICP didn't have that. It didn't have an ecosystem. So obviously, it went up to the $5,000 that we all saw, and then everybody that knew that was, they started shorting it. And then that's when you see some shadier stuff. So there was this company called Arkham Reports or Arkham Intelligence. You can see their Twitter. They've done one report. Actually, they've done 2 now, but 1 report at a time. The only report they ever did. And in that report, they blamed the seed investors. They blamed the Affinity Foundation for crashing the price. And that one report from this company that has never, ever been picked up, never done anything. It's just one report, one company with 3 guys in it. Gets picked up by the New York Times. So the New York Times picks up this report and spreads it out and crashes the price even more. And then influencers take that money in, and everyone jumps in the hate train.
But like my thing is like, why isn't it recovered? Like, we're 3 minutes. So it just got fucking crushed by whatever. So before I break your dreams, look at Helium Mobile. Helium was a retarded idea. Actually. Like, Helium was a huge scam. And it's still going. The internet computer. I mean, what did they do? Create apps, websites, and enterprise services on an open tech stack simply to chat to AI to create a 10,000x faster. Try Caffeine AI or write code on ICP.Ninja online services. They're not as ChatGPT. I cannot take seriously people who talk about cryptocurrency but has no computer literacy. Yeah. Flux is already doing this. I'm saying this in the nicest way. Run on Flux is decentralized computing. Anyone can run a node. The ICP cryptocurrency serves a multitude of core functions with the Internet Computer System. It acts as a governance token, allowing holders to stake ICP to create neurons that participate in the network governance by voting on protocol changes with rewards provided for participation. As utility token, ICP burn to generate cycles, which are used to power computation and storage for smart contracts on the network, effectively serving as the fuel for running applications. The token is also used to reward to network participations, including node providers who operate the independent data centers and that maintain the network and pay transaction fees for using the platform. Additionally, ICP can be used as participation in decentralization swaps to become a co-owner of Sans DAO to access various smart contracts and services built on the internet computer, such as registers and marketplaces. The ICP token is built on the ICRC 1 standard and is integral to Network Nervous System (NNS), and the decentralized autonomous organization that governs the internet computer block. Crypto bros who draw the line on graph in a paid video as a financial advice. Yeah. I just think that it's not really doing anything. I mean, you're fighting against AWS. You're fighting against... I'm not saying you shouldn't. I like competition. I think competition is good. But AWS outage happened a week before their major... and again, I think adoption can take a long time. But just a perfect example, AWS went out. That should have killed them in profit, revenue, and tanked their stock. Under a free market, that should have fucking slapped their dick in the dirt. Record profits, people made millions. I mean, I'm just saying. Damn. I almost made it 3 hours. I gotta stay for the 2 minutes for the 3 hours, otherwise I'll be pissed. But on an ending note, so I can drag out the time for no reason actually. All I'm saying is that there are companies that are definitely more profitable than Google. They're definitely more profitable than Nvidia, that have done wonders for the tech industry, that have done wonders for society, that have beaten earnings, that have beaten playbooks. I could give you a list of reasons why they should have 10x'd over the course of a week, and they crashed. The market is made of fun money and sprinkles and unicorns and autism, and everybody's invested. That's just how I look at it. I saw a fake meat company fucking 500x. That should just put that into perspective. Beyond Meat was at like 50 cents, and then a bunch of retards on the internet fucking squeezed the shit out of it and made a bunch of money. Internet's not real. But guys, now that I've given you 3 hours of my day, thank you, appreciate it. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Remember to argue in the comments and always come back and argue in the video so YouTube knows that they like me and can send me my commemorative YouTube underwear that'd be based and cool, and they could then pay me in hypothetical digital money maybe one day. That'd be kind of cool as well. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll actually discuss C, because it is the base programming language, so we can eventually learn